So cloud computing, no? This is a good buzzword. You've heard this a lot na conference for, let's say, for the good amount of decade, no? But the basic premise of cloud computing is basically virtualization, no? Or even not virtualization, no? Even hosting before, no? The term cloud, hosting your services on another server is technically what cloud is, no? But with the virtualization platform, vendors were able to optimize yung allocation process and basically um, enable them, no, to what we say na sashaying of charges, no, for you, no. So benefit of course is you don't have to do a capital outlay, no, when provisioning some services. You could just pay as you go, okay? But of course there's some issues with that too. Baka mali yung computation ng iba. If thinking nila it's cheap, they'll just move to the cloud without considering other issues that would be needed na to operate there. So history, no? Early computing natin, it was a centralized application, no? Only running one isolated computer. Okay. Centralized, no? With some terminals to access yung mga big computers way back 70s, no? Even early 80s. No? But the next cycle was the personal computing era. This was when IBM and Microsoft, no, was able to come out with DOS and eventually Windows, and making sure that the matter of every computer in a home, no, ni Bill Gates was fulfilled, no, and roughly around mid 90s, no, to late 90s, that was the thing, no, everyone's buying computer. And around late 90s, no, that's also the time that internet was booming, you know, especially with the 2000 you call this dot-com bubble, no, where everyone wanted to be online, then everyone was a lot of them were a flop, no, but those who survive are actually billion-dollar industries now. And while virtualization wasn't new, no, late 90s to early 2000, dun nakita yung use of virtualization, wherein you have PCs and servers that's not actually being utilized 100%, no? Dedicated for a certain task. They determined that, well, if we could mix and match yung mga services to make sure that the servers utilize maybe 60-80%, no? That would basically reduce the cost of the total cost of ownership of a service, kasi they could share resource. And virtualization, one of its benefit was hindi siya nagkakakitaan, no? It's containerized for that matter, no? There is a barrier, no, between two virtual platforms, no, running on the same machine. Before virtualization kasi was used, we heard of shared hosting, no, na meron ka lang cPanel account, you have multiple users, and there's a lot of security issue that arise from that, no? If weak yung delineation between two users, no, one user could actually access another user's system, no, and that became a problem, no? So with virtualization, we were able to solve that, no? Naka-isolate, naka-jail per system, and you use yung kung na resource na na-allocate sa'yo. So nagkaroon din ng optimal resource management. So another challenge is another one, no, after that is, well, what are the challenges dun sa cloud computing was yung application is centralized, no? Paano kung may mga device or system, no, na environment that we needed to run it as close to the user as possible, no? And that is solved, no, with edge computing, which will be discussed on the next session natin. So parang ano naging centralized, tapos naging decentralized. Centralized ng early computing, naging decentralized ng personal computing, and then naging centralized ulit sa cloud computing, and now we're trying to decentralize again with edge computing. So medyo may cycle yung yung computing paradigms natin. Now we're trying to push the computation back sa end user and just making cloud as a storage or a routing mechanism. But it has its use cases. So cloud infra players, to discuss here some. cloud providers, well-known cloud providers for that matter, no? And of course, we know the three leaders, no? It's AWS, Microsoft, and Google, no? And in that order, no? And the rest is just following, no? So Alibaba, Oracle, Tencent, IBM, even Huawei Cloud, no? So mga niche players lang for now, no? But of course, yung ultimate goal nila is maging AWS. And fortunately for Amazon, they've been using cloud computing and virtualization platform since they conceptualized na yung stores nila online, that allowed them to scale, and this scale depending on the need. And history taught them na, okay, if we could commoditize and commercialize this technology, we could sell it to the rest of the world, no? And that's what they did, no? This is actually the technology that they were using to support their online store. And now, I think they're making more money sa AWS, no? But I'm not sure sa financial. Same concept with Google. They've been using the same similar technology on their back end, and they offered this as a Google Cloud, no? Platform, GCP. Microsoft naman, on the other hand, they realized na they control basically a huge chunk, no, of enterprise market, no, with their Active Directory, and then of course yung Windows client, no. They wanted to dive into the cloud market, so they conceptualized na, well, we could copy Google with their Office 365 initially, and then the infra on the back end, no, is also similar, so they were able to market this Azure, no, and eventually even the Microsoft Active Directory, no, could be hosted in the cloud, para you don't need to be maintaining, no, your Active Directory infra on-prem, no? Although you still need the copy federated, no, but the main Active Directory would now be hosted in the cloud, wherein they would handle the updates, the patching. It's basically platform as a service, no? You just configure and optimize it as same fit for your organization. So for market share, this was on Q2 2022. Still 34% is AWS, leading provider for cloud. The lead used to be bigger, no? I think more than 50% was AWS. Azure was trailing a second, no? But again, with the adoption of cloud-based Active Directory and Office 365 for Microsoft-centric organization, Azure was able to capture that market, no? Google Cloud's still up there, number 3, no? But very small chunk of the cloud market, since we all know, pag ano, no? Pag sinabing cloud, no, iniisip kaagad ng tao is AWS, no? So they got that branding, at least for Amazon, no? So Azure and cloud, depende lang kung meron ka specific use case. Like for Azure, if you're running an Active Directory for your enterprise, then that's a good consideration, no? And then Google Cloud, well, if nasanay ka na ng G Suite or Gmail, no, since early 2000s, then and you don't need Active Directory, or you don't have any features that is AWS only, no? So you could go full Google Cloud and the rest of the niche market. So discussions on the different types of cloud computing services, no? So we have infrastructure as a service. So this is your AWS, Google Cloud, and Azure, no? Wherein the vendor, no, handles the infrastructure, but that's it, no? They handle the virtualization platform, and to a degree, no, that's all they would be able to provide to you, and you would be in charge, no, for the OS, the maintenance, the upgrade of the OS, the software you're gonna install, the configuration of it. So that's infrastructure as service. This is our typical data center hosting, way for the cloud, no? So that's how they position infrastructure as a service. When you talk about platform as a service, this is your GitHub, your Docker, your Kubernetes, no? Wherein the provider, the vendor, no, assumes responsibility of one step, no, above infrastructure as a service. And when you go to software as a service, no, like Microsoft Active Directory in the cloud, G Suite, Google Workspace, no, On that note, it's now the responsibility of the provider or and vendor, no, to maintain and operate and patch, no, yung software running on top of their infrastructure. But that said, no, yung identity and access technically is still, no, within the responsibility of the user, which is us. So yun yung common discrepancy na pang cloud is secure, yes. Depends on how you what type of service are you using, diba? And your capability to secure it. But that's not always the case. Tingin lang ng mga tao is once na nag-cloud ka, that's secure already. Tas wala ka na kailangan i-maintain. So that's a wrong assumption. Now for other delineation in the cloud, we have yung private cloud, wherein this is hosted within the organization. Pwede rin naman siya nasa data center. Okay, but the hardware and the software is operated by the organization alone, no? And walang ibang tenants, no, that outside the organization. So that's how we define private cloud. About yung maintenance nito, of course, power, internet, cooling, even up to that level, no, it's responsibility of the organization. Now, there is the cloud that we are accustomed to, no, yung public cloud. Again, using example of AWS, Azure, GCP. The infrastructure and the back end, no, for the most part, is handled by the vendor. Okay, but again, note, if you are doing compute instances on that, you are responsible for the patching and the security of the VMs. Now, that said, you could combine two, no? You could have a private cloud and a public cloud, then you could sync both of it, and that's what we call basically a hybrid cloud. Okay? But still, you need to be aware to what part is the responsibility of the vendor and what part is the responsibility of the user. So you could, of course, provision then time, resource, people to manage this. It's not instant, no? That you just deploy and then forget about it, no? That's grounds for failure.